Okay, welcome to another live stream. It is Friday night at 7 o'clock, and you know what that means. It is time for our 1 hour weekly live stream. We're going to be looking at Titanic Honor and Glory this week. We haven't looked at this in quite a bit, so I figured it was time to go back and take a look at it again and explore the ship like we usually do. So I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into that. And let's start off. Let's start off in first class. Hope everyone has had a good week. Did not go by fast enough for my taste, but that's how it goes sometimes. And we've got three legends here with us, of course. We have the Titanic. Well, four legends. We've got the Titanic. We've got Britannic, the USS Arizona, and the Queen Mary joining us this week. And I've got something very interesting we're going to be talking about as far as the Queen Mary goes. So, just waiting for the game here to load. So apparently there was a new movie that is out, which stars the our Queen here, the Queen Mary. Going to be talking about that. I've not seen it yet, so it's going to be interesting. Game taking a little bit longer to load than usual, but there we go. Start off right here, the D-deck gangway door on the starboard side of the ship. Today, for those who may not know, is actually a pretty big day in Titanic history. So actually, we did not start off on D deck. They started us off on B deck. But yeah, today's a pretty big day in Titanic history. All you Titanic nerds will know what happened today. For those who may not, today is the 38-year anniversary of Dr. Robert Ballard and the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute discovering the wreck of the Titanic. Happened a little bit before 2 o'clock in the morning on this day. And one of the first, they came across the debris field first. They did not actually see the physical ship. And one of the things that let them recognize the fact that it was indeed the Titanic was the submersible was passing over one of the boilers, and they recognized the boiler, and that's how they knew that they found the ship. Of course, there was a lot of joy, celebration, whatnot going on. They were pouring champagne and whatnot. This is one of the private promenades, as you can imagine, probably similar to what they had in the movie. The cabins that Rose and company were in. But anyway, yeah, it was around 2 o'clock in the morning, and they were celebrating that they found the wreck. And I remember Robert Ballard telling the story that somebody made the comment around 2 o'clock in the morning that, hey guys, it's 2 o'clock. She sinks in 20 minutes. And he said that that, of course, really brought the mood down because it kind of made them realize, the gravity of or the significance of what happened that night. And he said they actually, everyone stopped celebrating and we felt embarrassed, is what he said. He said we felt like, who were we to be celebrating this? We're like practically dancing on people's graves. So, yep, that's an unfortunate thing to think about. On the heels of a giant, really archaeological discovery, but I can't say I thought it wouldn't have crossed my mind as well. Regardless, it's amazing that they did find the wreck, and we know so much more about the ship and the history of the ship, the engineering of the ship, the science of the ship, because they found the wreck. Had they not ever found the wreck, people would still be thinking that the ship sank intact. Of course, if we never found the wreck, we wouldn't have known that it didn't. And the whole the accepted theory as to the damage that the ship got from the iceberg was like a 300-foot long gash. No, I'm gonna pull the ship down here so you can see. So prior to the discovery of the wreck, they thought it was a 300-foot long gash all across the starboard side, and we know that it was just a lot of bumps and holes and whatnot. So, uh, again, without having ever discovered the wreck, we wouldn't know these things. So, I definitely feel like it was a good thing that the wreck was eventually discovered. Let's see, we're exploring B deck here. Probably go take a look at down at C deck. Look at Carlson's cabin from Adventure Out of Time. Again, that's a game all you Titanic nerds will know about. But we have a lot of open cabins here on B deck. Probably more so on B deck than any other deck in this particular demo of Honor and Glory. Let me turn that fan off. It's probably causing a bunch of noise. It's been a little warm in here, so that's why I had had the fan on. Had a few people tune in so far. I hope you guys are enjoying the stream. Definitely looking forward to interacting with some of you if you care to chat, ask questions, whatever you want to do. And so here's the aft grand staircase on B deck. Looks very similar to the one on A deck. Let's go check out the one of my favorite spots in the ship, the Cafe Parisienne. So yeah, 38 years ago today, the wreck was discovered. This room, of course, plays a big role in the Titanic Adventure Out of Time game. Someday I'm going to figure out how to stream that game on here. Now, we don't want to go outside just yet. It's the a la carte restaurant. It's going to be amazing when they actually finish this game. I say if they finish this game. I mean, this game's been in development hell for 10 years. They were we're very fortunate to at least have this much of it. We're going to be getting more content like this in the future with not just Titanic but other ships. There's a YouTube channel I follow called Ocean Liner Designs, hosted by Mike Brady, and you want a guy who knows his stuff. He knows his stuff, and he is making a simulation game similar to this, and it's going to be called Grand Voyage. However, it's not going to be just one ship. He's going to have multiple ships, and and not just ships. He's going to have airships in it too. So basically, in various types of vessels from history. I don't know if he's going to be including any type of naval vessels. That would be really awesome. Ocean liners, I know for sure, and at least one airship. And you'll be able to, I think you can navigate them. There's going to be different weather patterns, and you can control the weather, you can control the time of day. For any ship nerds watching, one of the ships they're going to be starting off that game with is the Empress of Ireland. And of course, that one never quite got as famous as Titanic or even Lusitania, but it was a pretty catastrophic sinking. It was on the level of Titanic and Lusitania. It just never got the publicity that these two got because I think it was the following week after the ship sunk was when World War One broke out. And let's go up to. I don't really never check out the Afghan staircase a whole lot, but it really doesn't look too different from the forward grand staircase. Is a first class smoking room. And of course, there's nothing left of this section of the ship. We're out in the stern section, and the stern, of course, was obliterated on its way down to the seafloor. I don't know if I've ever noticed this room. Oh yes, I have noticed this. I wonder if this was from. I wonder if this was Father Brown's room. I want to say I believe he was A37 or A73. So this is on A deck, but they don't have the room number above the door. But this is the type of camera. We're going to zoom into this. Whoops. Let me reset that. Let's get a more frontal view. Look at that. This would have been the type of camera that Father Francis Brown used when he was on the ship to take all the photos that he took of the Titanic. And of course, there were other people on the ship taking photos, but his are probably the most well known because he took quite a bit of images of the ship. Too bad he didn't get none of the grand staircase because there are no known photos in existence of Titanic's grand staircase. Every photo you've ever seen, of course, is the Olympic. It's not Titanic. We can use the Olympics as a reference because, believe, because of the design plans from Titanic, we know that the uh, the grand staircase on Titanic was virtually identical to Olympics. So this has got to be his room, and now that I think about it, I'm trying to picture his images in my head. He did take a picture of his cabin, basically from like this angle, and yeah, you had the mirror right where it's at. You had the bed to the right of the mirror. He had one image in focus, and one was really blurry, but that's basically what his image looked like. So yeah, this has to be his room. See, I think we came out of here already. So yeah, while I'm thinking about it, there is a movie that I discovered earlier, a horror movie, and unbelievably, it takes place on the Queen Mary, and the Queen Mary's name is in the title. I forget what the title is. Let me pull it up. I saw the trailer less than an hour before I went live here. The Haunting of the Queen Mary, and it looks like it's a movie that just came out. So I watched the trailer for it. Horror movie on the Queen Mary. For those who don't know me, one of my loves is horror movies. I grew up on them. I love horror movies. Always have. Always will. Similar to ships, but I don't know how I feel about. This is some crew quarters right here, by the way. Maids and Valet Saloon. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about a fictional horror story being on a real historical vessel. That I haven't had real much time to process that thought yet. I mean, I've seen the movie Ghost Ship, which was, it was a campy horror movie which takes place on a fictional ship, but one that takes place on a real ship. It's definitely something I'm going to check out. If anyone happens to pop up in the channel that's seen that movie, if you can, give me your spoiler-free feelings on that movie. So here we are at C-73. This was Carlson's cabin in Adventure Out of Time. Uh, if you don't know what that is, it's an old PC game that came out in like 1996. And although the character you play, his name is never actually mentioned in the game, his name is Carlson, and this was his cabin in the game. It looks a bit different in the game. Like the white paneling was actually a dark, like cherry wood. All of this was very much darker than what you see here. But I would imagine Honor and Glory's got their game a lot more accurate. And of course, you had this decoder machine that's in the very bottom drawer there. You had the confidential files right there. The uh, the old record player. I think it was called a monograph. I could be wrong on that. Yeah, your little button right here to summon your steward. His name was Smethels. I can't wait till they add sound into this game too, because then it's going to be really interesting to go down into the engine room. Let's go look at some other spots. Do all the greatest hits, of course. C-105. I do not know who this cabin was for. Okay, actually, I haven't messed with this in a good bit, so there's more cabins on C deck that are open than what I originally thought. Of course, this is like the Strauss sitting room. You can tell by the fancy fireplace. There's actually a replica of the Strauss room in the Titanic Museum in Pigeon Forge. You go up the grand staircase. You go around a couple of corners, and eventually you come into it. There's no way to avoid it. You walk right into it. White Star Line. It's probably one of the few rooms on the ship that actually had its own private toilet. Because there was a lot of communal showers and toilets on the Titanic. And of course, the purser's office. They used to have a little gag right here. You'd come up, one of these doors was closed, and when you would come up to it, the purser's head from Titanic Adventure Out of Time would pop up and scare the crap out of you. If you've seen A Night to Remember, you know, and during that movie, there's during sinking, there are lines and lines of people right here in at the purser's desk wanting to get their stuff out of the safes. So imagine you're on a sinking ship and you got to stop and wait for people and help people, you know, get their valuables out of your safe. And of course, here's the safes. Now let's go back up to B deck. B-51. So these are essentially where Rose and Cal and her mom, these would have been like their private promenade. These would have been like their staterooms in the movie. I believe Bruce Ismay's cabin was on B deck as well. I could be wrong on that though. He might have been on A deck. I want to say he was on the port side. I'm almost positive of that. I know Guggenheim was on the port side as well. I don't think there's any cabins on A deck that are open. Of course, there are no cabins back there. Now, the reading and writing room is back here. I think the lounge is back here. I forgot that the door opens. A reading and writing room. This might be one of the most beautiful rooms on the ship. I was saying earlier how when I opened up the stream with talking about how today is the anniversary of the wreck, it's also one of my. Oh yeah, here's the lounge. This is where most of the movies, I believe, depict Andrews being. I think. No, he's setting a clock. I forget. I always forget what room he was setting that clock in, but he was actually. Hey, Matt is here. What's up? How are you? How's your shrimp platter that you went to get? Let's see. Also had to wait for a wreck. Clear up on the Gaines Road. Had a sub flipped over in the field. Yikes. My audio is weird. Hmm. I'm not sure why. I've got everything set up like usual. I'll just have to deal with it as long as everybody can hear me. Platter was worth the wait. I'll bet it was. Okay, so we already checked out the smoking room. So Matt, I opened up the stream and I'm gonna repeat this because I know you probably you're not into this the way I am, but today is the 38th anniversary of Dr. Robert Ballard discovering the wreck of the Titanic. So that's why we're looking at honor and glory tonight. 38 years ago today. Yeah, this door doesn't open. I forgot what else I was talking about. I hate when I do that. Oh, Gage, pretty cool, huh? So while I'm thinking about that, I did want to tell this story. So I know a lot of people younger than me, that were introduced to the Titanic story via the James Cameron movie. My fascination with Titanic is not a result of the movie. Watching the movie is a result of my fascination with the ship. And I think this is Ismay's room. So I know it's B deck on the port side. I was thinking A deck for a minute, but no, I'm almost positive it's B deck, and I think this is it. But anyway, so how I got fascinated with it was I was extremely young when the wreck was discovered. I wasn't even 10 years old when the wreck was discovered, but I have this faint memory of when the wreck was found. I remember being in the car with my parents. I forget where we were going, and I remember them talking about the fact that the ship was found because it was in the news. And I remember asking them, what's the Titanic? And I'm sure that they gave me the cliff notes. Biggest ship in the world, hit the iceberg, sunk, and that was pretty much it. Well, I also remember in the living room we had on the entertainment center we had these big book shelves to both sides of where the TV was, and we had this big set of encyclopedias. And I had never, up until that point, touched those encyclopedias, not one time. But I remember after hearing them talk about the Titanic, my parents, that's when I went and looked up the Titanic in the encyclopedia, and I read about it. And like I said, I was really young at the time, so I didn't know any better. At the time, I thought, it was the biggest ship ever made, and no ship since was made as big as the Titanic because of what happened, because of the iceberg and the sinking. See, Matt, I learned about it through History Channel and Discovery Channel. Do you remember, Matt, about how old you were when you had first heard about the Titanic? But yeah, that's my earliest memory of it. I'm waiting for the game to catch up here. It's lagging a bit. And ever since then, I've been fascinated. I'm gonna go take a walk on the boat deck here. The fans and the computer kicking up. And not exactly, maybe 7. So you heard about it for the first time, roughly about the same age I was when I heard about the ship. Well, when I first heard about it, when the wreck was discovered. And I remember up until that point, again, it was always assumed that the wreck had sunk in one piece, and you had this giant gash, 300-foot long gash in the starboard side of the ship, and that's what caused the ship to sink. Of course, now we know that those are not the case. So, Matt, I told this story at the beginning of the stream. I'll tell it to you just in case you may be interested. So, when Robert Ballard discovered the wreck back in 1985, they discovered it roughly before 2 o'clock in the morning, and they didn't actually see any, like the bow section or the stern section. They came upon the debris field first, and eventually they noticed one of the boilers, and that's what clued them in that it was in fact the Titanic that they found. And he goes on to say that they were jubilant, they were celebrating, pouring champagne, having a grand old time of it. And like right around 2 o'clock in the morning, one of the crew says, "Hey guys, it's 2 o'clock. She sinks in 20 minutes." And at that point, um, I see your comment. I'm gonna get to it in a second as soon as I finish telling you this story. So at that point, according to Ballard, the mood eventually just it dropped like a rock because according to him, it's like and I'm paraphrasing. He says we felt embarrassed. Who are we to be celebrating this? Where we felt like we were dancing on people's graves. And I get that sentiment. I understand exactly where he's coming from, but I think we can all be of the opinion that we're glad he found it because we wouldn't know half as much about the ship as we do now had he never discovered it. So Matt says, wait, they thought it sunk in one piece till then. Didn't survivors tell that the ship split? So in the inquiries, um, and Eva Hart is one of the survivors. She stated that she saw the ship break in half. A lot of survivors claim that they saw the ship broke in half, but one of the officers, and I don't know which one, it might have been Lightoller, since he was the senior most officer to survive, but I don't know for sure. One of the officers stated in the inquiries that the ship sank in one whole piece, and I guess Lord Mercy, who was over, I don't know if it was Lord Mercy who said it, but he was the one who was presiding over the hearings. But anyway, I don't know if it was just him or if it was a panel, but basically, they said that they took the officer's word for it that the ship sank intact, despite the fact that you had survivors say to the contrary, that it in fact split in two. And I remember Eva Hart for years said she saw the ship split in half, and people who weren't even there, weren't even born when the Titanic disaster happened, had the nerve to argue with her and say, "No, you didn't see that." Like, what? Were you there? I mean, she was. Were you? Who are you to tell her what she saw? And of course, she was proven right. We actually have a guy in the Discord, in All American Travel's Discord server. Come find us. We have a small but really active community. You're more than welcome to come be a part of it. All American Travels on Discord. But we have a guy that's in the Discord server. He has the autographs of Robert Ballard and Milvina Dean. And for anyone who may or may not, or who does not know who Milvina Dean is, she was the last survivor to pass away, and she passed away in 2009. And she was either 2 or 3 months old when when the ship sunk. So I mean, of course, she has no memory of it. If I remember right, he actually showed me pictures of the. He did show me the picture of the Melvina Dean autograph. I don't remember if he showed me a picture of Robert Ballard's autograph. And of course, this is the second class entrance. Oh, you. I think you missed this too, Matt. So, less than an hour before I went live here on the stream, I discovered a trailer for a movie that our Queen Mary is in. And I forgot the title again. Let me go look at it. The Haunting of the Queen Mary. So, a horror movie that takes place on the Queen Mary. Don't know how I feel about that. I'm going to watch it. I mean, like I was telling the rest of the viewers, it combines two of my loves, horror movies and ships. But I don't know how I feel about a horror movie taking place on a real historical vessel. Ghost Ship was a dumb, fun horror movie, but that wasn't a real ship. Let's see. Oh yeah, I've seen an ad for that, but I didn't think it was a real movie. No, it's real. It is real. I watched the trailer for it. I posted a link for the trailer in the Discord server. So if you want to check it out, go right there and take a look. I mean, the Queen Mary's in it, so of course I'm gonna watch it. I just hope it's decent, even somewhat decent. Well, let's backtrack a bit. Let's go back up to first class. If you recall, last week we were talking about Father Brown. He was the amateur photographer on the ship that took a bunch of the photos that we have of the ship. Some of the only photos that we have of the ship. I found his camera and his cabin. So I know that's something that really interests you. So let's go take a look at Father Brown's cabin. It might be easier to just go to the main menu and basically teleport back to first class. Well, it put us in a different spot this time. It put us on the promenade deck. I never get tired of walking this deck, but we got about 20 minutes before the stream ends, so I want to go and show you that real quick and look at some other areas before we call it a wrap. Always trying to hit the greatest hits. The best spots of the ship. I'll be playing some warships after, more than likely, if you're interested in joining me. All right. I just got to remember if it's on I think it was on C deck. If you win the lottery, you could buy a house and make your own porch look like that deck. Hey, you want to hear a true story? So, Sir Arthur Rostron, he was the captain of the Carpathia, which was the ship that picked up the Titanic survivors. He was also captain of a lot of other Cunard ships, Mauritania being another one. Uh, at the end of his career, when he retired, um, the house he moved into, in one of the rooms, he had the room with these big bay view windows installed, overlooking like a pool or something, to give him the illusion that he was still uh, on the bridge of a ship. Because, I mean, that's how much he loved, you know, sailing and being a ship captain and all that. That was his whole life. Wait, I don't know why I'm down here. Father Brown's cabin was on A deck. I can't believe I forgot that for a brief minute. Well, let's get up to A deck. And here we go. Here's Father Brown's cabin. And there is his camera. Oops. So he took two images of his cabin. Basically, from this view where they've got the camera angled, you can see the mirror and the bed to the right. He took two images. One of them's out of focus, but the other one you can see pretty good. All right. Let's go. Let's go back to main menu and click options. Let's get out of this. Go back to main menu and teleport somewhere. I knew you'd like that. Let's see. No, we want to go to the end. Let's go to third class because that's probably the easiest way to get to the engine room. I know you get to it from Scotland Road. I want a camera like that just because of the history with it. That would be cool to have. Imagine if it was actually his camera, though. I mean, geez, that's got to be priceless. All right, I believe we need to go forward. Yeah, here we go. Let's go take a look at the engine room. Nope, you can't. Just gonna check and see if maybe we could find a way to climb the fourth funnel, but I don't ever remember it being in the game. So You had fun with your vintage Zeiss lens today. Cool. Oh, this is block two, so we must have to go this way or not. Trying to remember how to get into the engine room. Aha, there we go. I'm assuming the camera made it off the wreck. If we have photos, wonder where it is. I don't know whatever became of the actual camera, but Father Brown's story is as follows, if I didn't tell it last week. So he had an uncle who gifted him a camera, I think for his birthday. His uncle was very fond of him. They had a great relationship. And so his uncle gave him a camera for his birthday and bought him a ticket on Titanic. However, the ticket was not for him to sail across the Atlantic onto on the Titanic all the way to New York. Believe he got on. I forget where he got on the ship. It was either I think it might have been Cherbourg. It was either Southampton or Cherbourg. I forget exactly which one he boarded the ship on, but he was to disembark the ship at Queenstown, which is the final stop that the ship made before it began to cross the Atlantic. So, yeah, he got off the ship at Queenstown. Now, interesting little caveat about that is he made friends with a first class couple while he was on the ship, because I think he was on the ship for 24 hours, basically. And this first class couple, enjoyed his company so much that they offered to pay for his ticket to sail across the Atlantic with them to New York if he kept them company. So what he did was he went to the wireless room, and we do have one photo of a wireless operator in the wireless room from Father Brown, but his back's turned to the camera. So I don't know if they ever confirmed 100% if it was Jack Phillips or Harold Bride, but it's definitely obviously one of them. So anyway, he got whichever one it was to send a wireless to basically his boss, asking if he could make the voyage to New York. And his supervisor replied with 4 words: "Get off that ship." So Father Brown, he listened to his supervisor, and he got off the ship at Queenstown. Now, how about that for a story of fate? Imagine if he stayed with the couple. That might if that ain't a little divine intervention going on there. So yeah, his photos were saved, and more importantly, his life was saved. That's amazing, right? So yeah, he was obviously never in any serious danger of losing his life on the ship. And I think, if I remember reading right, for years and years after the fact, he kept that wireless from his boss and showed it to people. They like, this is what saved my life, basically. Yep. So here we are on Scotland Road, one of the highways to flooding here. This passage really helped the water get to the back of the ship faster than it otherwise might have. And let's see. Yep, this is Charles Yelkin's room. He stayed in his room getting drunk for a portion of the sinking. So when he came out of his room at one point, he comes and he gets around this corner and he looks down. It's pitch black with a wall of water just creeping up towards him. There's the third class dining area. Nice big beautiful picture of Olympic right here. Although it looks like it says Titanic in the painting, but the promenade is opened up. Maybe they decided to do that painting before they actually enclosed the A deck on Titanic. That has to be a horrible sight. I would imagine so. A sinking ship is a very violent affair, especially when you get one down to the end, the way in like the last 20 minutes that Titanic was still afloat. Right before the breakup. So I've been to the museum in Pigeon Forge, and there's a room where they've got like three different tiny like little platforms you can go on. And let me get us a better view while I tell this story. Let's look at Scotland Road, looking down. But you've got like three different like little platforms, so to speak, and they're on slants, and you've got railings on each side. And one is like various stages throughout the sinking. And one, for example, is like a 10-degree list, and you get to climb up and see if you can climb up the thing. It's to simulate what it would have been like walking on the decks as the ship was sinking. Then another one is like maybe a 20 or 25-degree list, whatever it was. I forget the exact numbers. The last one was 45 degrees, and this would have been either at 2 o'clock or right before the breakup. And I had to use the railing and almost climb it like a ladder to get to the top of the thing. I was able to make it to the top, but imagine trying to do that on the ship, and this is minutes, maybe seconds before the breakup. Not a fun thing. All right, let's go take a look at the swimming pool real quick, and we'll finish up the screen on the stern. No, we don't want to go to the boiler rooms. Pretty much go to the boiler rooms every time I do this demo, so. Alright, let's do it this way. Go to main menu. And we could go straight to the baths from here. No, we don't want to go to the main stairwell. We want to take a look at the pool. Of course, the Titanic would have served the purpose that she was intended to serve, which was to be an ocean liner. Her pool was a lot more extravagant than this. Imagine how hard the impact would be hitting the water after the ship broke up. I can't imagine what it would be like from any point if you jumped from the ship. And jumping from the ship is one of the worst things you could possibly do. Because if you jump from the ship and you've got those life jackets on, those life jackets, there's a reason why life jackets don't look anymore or designed anymore like they did on the Titanic. Those life jackets were made of cork. And if you were to jump in the water, I don't know how high it would be for this to happen, but you jump in the water feet first, that cork goes straight up, and it hits you with such a force that it will snap your neck. And there was evidence to suggest that a lot of the bodies they found in the water, those people had broken necks. So you ever look at modern day life jackets, they're vests. There's nothing in the middle. In fact, in A Night to Remember, Andrews is telling a young couple who they don't make it into a lifeboat. He tells them, lower yourselves into the water using some of the ropes that were used for the lifeboats, lowering the lifeboats. He says, do not jump into the water. Lower yourselves on the ropes. He doesn't explain why, but he tells this couple that. No, not jumping from the ship. If you were on the stern when it hit the water after it broke. So I'm assuming maybe I'm not understanding you correctly. Maybe I'm assuming you're saying that if you rode the stern all the way down, I don't know if it would have been painful as much as it would have been a shock from, your body when your body makes contact with that ice cold water. And I don't know if you want to ride the stern all the way down either because of the fact of, the suction going down when the ship goes down, pulling you under, like basically like it did Jack in the movie. Let's head over to the stern section. We're going to finish up here on the poop deck. Let's go to third class. So yeah, I have a feeling that actually you survive the suction and you ride the ship all the way down. I don't think making contact with the water would have done physical damage to you, as I think it would have been more of again, the shock, that your body feels from hitting water that cold. I think that's the thing that would have got you. All right, folks. I think we're going to go ahead and call it a stream here. We're just about to the 1 hour mark. I just wanted to come and walk on the poop deck a little bit. So yes, thanks everyone who decided to stop by, check out the stream. I really appreciate it. If you like what you saw here, I do a live stream for 1 hour every Friday evening at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. Our content schedule is as follows. Every Monday through Friday, a quiz poll comes out on the channel at 9 a.m. All times are Central Standard. We have a random poll of the day, which could be about anything that comes out at 10 a.m., and a random short of the week that comes out at 11 a.m. And on Friday mornings at 7 o'clock, we have a video, a new full-length video that comes out each week. This week, video came out early. It in fact came out yesterday morning. In fact, it's a very short video of me. I flew the drone up and got some footage of a marsh fire that was happening near my area. So if that's something you're interested in checking out. Let's see. You need to do a side-by-side comparison between vintage Zeiss Context and the Zeiss Batis. They both are really sharp. Well, I'm biased towards the Batis, so that's me. But yeah, that's our content schedule for this week. Thanks for anyone and everyone who stopped by. We appreciate it. Give the channel a like and subscribe. Come find us on Discord. Matt, thanks for joining us as always. Hope the shrimp platter was good. I'm going to go have some Greek tomorrow for lunch. I'm real excited about that. So thanks again. Appreciate all of you who came by. And as always, until the next time, drive safely.